This is Third Paradigm, and I'm Teresa Caraggio. A couple of quick thoughts that I wanted to record before I check out of my Airbnb in Virginia. We've been talking about ownership and what the rules are for that in terms of looking at the United States and Native Americans and looking at Israel and Palestine. I think that this is something that we need to give more thought to. Many people have been saying, oh, I am not taking sides. Everyone is saying we need to be either on the Palestinian side or on the side of Israel, and that's a wrong dichotomy. I think there are only two sides, which is empire versus sovereignty. If you are saying, oh, I'm neutral, you're on the side of empire because empire pays your bills. Empire is who you bought your house through. Empire rules everything. Empire funded both sides of those wars. And so without taking an active and thoughtful stance about what are the rules that we'd write for sovereignty, we are always going to be defaulting to the side of empire. What is the set of rules, nomos, that we would define for our logos or purpose, which is sovereignty? The first thing, of course, is to define terms. The way I define sovereignty is the maximum level of control over your own life without taking that away from anyone else. And so when we look at community sovereignty, it's the maximum level of control over your own community that doesn't take that away. And so whatever ethical system that you design for your community has to follow the rule of ethical principles that it cannot contain any proper nouns. I often say that everything essential in life was taught to my kids by my daycare provider. And one of the important things she taught was that you are the most special person in the universe, and so is everyone else. Let's look at what kind of rules she devised for sharing, because ownership is one of the earliest issues to ever come up in a kid's life. The very first thing they learn is, you have that and I want it, that's mine. So how do you devise rules for sharing, especially when some kids are bringing their own toys to daycare? The rule that she devised was, if it's a new toy that you brought to daycare or fragile, that then it belongs to you and you can claim it back if someone else is playing with it. But if it's a toy that you've had for a while and it's not breakable, then it belongs to whoever is in possession of it, playing with it at that time. So that was something that she could even open up to the kids to debate, because it didn't matter which way you made the rules. You could make the rules that it's always yours if you brought it, and it would be fair as long as that always applied. Or you could make the rules that it belongs to whoever is playing with it at the time and has possession. And that would be fair too, as long as it applies to everyone. The rule in this case that Israel has chosen in this daycare center is, if I wrestle it from you using force and violence, it is mine now, and you cannot take it back, unless you take it back through force and violence. And so Israel really has absolutely no right to complain about any of the force and violence that's being used, because they made that rule. They already have established that might makes right. That is their operating system. That's how they have acquired this land, and it's how, as recently as a month ago, they have acquired more land through the settlers. Their principle is take it with whatever force, because then it will belong to us. So now that's what's happening. That's why they've sent everyone to the south of Gaza, so that they can then raise the north and occupy that and say, this is ours now. So when people are saying you shouldn't take sides, there are no two sides, you have to figure that, are you willing to live with that as a principle? If someone comes with violence into your country, your state, your city, your house, and takes it, and then says, this is mine now because I'm occupying it, are you willing to acknowledge that that's true, that that's just, that that's fair? If you don't believe that that would be fair for you, then when you say, I'm not going to take a part in this, I'm not going to add my voice or my opinion, I'm just going to be neutral, what you are doing is being on the side of empire, because empire is the side that says bigger is better and might makes right. If you believe that there is such a thing as sovereignty and people have a right to control their own lives, and to control your own lives means that you live in a community where the land is yours and you have a right to it, then you need to take a side here. How does this apply when the kids have been in possession of the toy for over a century? In other words, when certain races have come in as colonizers and have displaced the indigenous populations of those places. I don't think this is an irrelevant question for us to be looking at, but I also don't think the answer that they're giving us is the right one. The answers that are being presented are that there should be reparations, both for those brought as slaves and those who are indigenous and were displaced. Reparations are in terms of money, and what that does is give you power over other people. It ends up making other people your slaves. And so then in the next generation, you have to do the same thing. You have to once again give reparations to those who were made your slaves through that money, and it just keeps on going. You're not giving back the right of being able to control your own labor and your own land in your own community. My economic system favors sovereignty. It favors those who already live there and work there or who were born there. But what about generations that have been displaced? A way that I've thought that creatively that could be perhaps addressed is through property taxes. And what I've thought is that for anyone who is learning the indigenous language of that area, that there could be a reduction in their property taxes. What this would do is give an incentive for people who know that language, who are native speakers of that language, to come back and be able to make a living as teachers who would be sought after because people would be wanting to learn the language of that place. And I think there's something very special about a language that was developed in the place that you are, that the names for plants, for all the things that are around you in nature, and all those words for relationships are ones that we've lost. We've lost any sense of sovereign languages, languages that reflect a people who stay rather than a people who colonize and take something that belongs to someone else. I will leave you with those thoughts, and please go to thirdparadigm.substack.com and leave in the comments how you would solve this dilemma. What are the rules that you would write for your sovereign community and want those rules to be applied equally to everyone? And for more on how Indigenous communities have solved these problems in the past, this is Muskrat Love and Anarchy, and this is When Mothers Ran the World. They're both based on anthropologist David Graeber and archaeologist David Wengrow's book, The Dawn of Everything. Thank you for watching.